Welcome to my next Lost Season 6 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you aren't caught up to the point where I am rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already watched the show Lost 3 other times. It's in my top 5 favorite TV shows of all time. I absolutely love Lost. So join me on the journey along with the legendary Crazy Coffeeman, who's actually watching Lost for the very first time, in the comments section to discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, I don't want you to spoil anything past this episode in the comments section. So with all that said, this will be Lost Season 6, Episode 12. The title of this episode is called Everybody Loves Hugo. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start with a flash sideways where we have a retrospective film and slideshow of Hugo Reyes, his real life by Pierre Chang, describing his success at establishing the Mr. Cluck's empire and his undertakings. And then Pierre Chang announces that a new paleontology wing of the Golden State Natural History Museum is being named after Hugo Reyes. Hugo is seated with his mother, Carmen, and then Hugo is introduced as the Man of the Year. He stands up to applause from the audience. Then Hugo walks out with his mother, holding his award, a T-Rex silhouette done in frosted glass. Carmen says everybody loves Hugo except women and that he needs to meet a girl. Well, maybe he's gay. Did she ever think of that? He says he doesn't have time. She then tells him that she has set up a lunch date with a daughter of Hurley's grandfather's neighbor, Rosalita. Then back to the island, Hurley is at the survivors' burial ground at Libby's grave. Did I say grave? Grave. He says he wishes she could talk to her, or he says he wishes he could talk to her, and starts talking to her about some of the things that have happened. Then Ilana interrupts and asks if he's ready to go to Black Rock, where they will get dynamite to destroy the plane. Ilana says that she isn't sure that it's the right thing to do, but it is the only move that they have. Hurley then tells Ilana that Libby was murdered before their first date. Then the whispers are heard and Michael appears. Michael says that he has come to stop Hurley from getting everyone killed. Hurley asks why he should trust Michael as he murdered Libby, but Michael says that it doesn't matter because if Hurley blows up the plane, a lot of people will die, and because people are listening to Hurley now, it will be his fault, and Jack arrives and hurries him along. Back to our flash sideways, Hugo waits for his blind date at a Mexican restaurant, Spanish Johnny's, munching on the complimentary homemade tortilla chips. After a brief conversation with the waiter, a blonde woman walks up and calls him by his first name. Hugo jumps up, saying he wasn't expecting someone so pretty, as it becomes clear that Hugo has mistaken her for someone else. She admits that she is not Rosalita, it's Libby, and she saw him from across the room. He asks how she knows his name. She takes his hands and asks whatever he believes that two people can be connected like soulmates. She asks whether he remembers her. Hugo asks whether he should remember her. Then a doctor suddenly approaches, played by Bruce Davidson, interrupting them and takes her away. Hurley, I'm going to just call him here. He's called Hugo in the episode in the flash sideways. I'm just going to call him Hurley. Hurley follows them out and watches as she is escorted into a van from the Santa Rosa Mental Health Institute. Back to the island, Ilana arrives saying that they must make it to Hydra Island to destroy the plane before nightfall. She tells Richard that she has 4 sticks of dynamite from the Black Rock. Hurley overhears and says he doesn't think it's a good idea, especially as the dynamite is so unstable. Just asks Leslie Arzt. Ilana says that she must do this to protect them. Hurley asks how blowing up the plane will protect him. And Ilana says that it is the only way to prevent that thing from leaving. She repeats that Jacob said that Richard knows what to do and that he said to blow up the plane. As she speaks, she actually drops her pack and the dynamite inside explodes. killing her and knocking Hurley and the others down. R.I.P. Alana. I didn't actually remember that happening, and it actually it startled me quite a bit. So they threw a curveball at me because I don't remember every single moment from Lost, especially with the Alana character. Like, I remember her, but I don't remember all the specifics with her. So yeah, so the man in black, back still on the island, is working on a large wooden stick. Sawyer asks him if he is fashioning a spear. He says he doesn't know, but when the time is right, he will tell him. The man in black explains to Sawyer and Kate that they are waiting for Hurley, Sun, and Jack to join them because just as they needed to be together to return to the island, so they also need to be together to leave this godforsaken rock. Kate says that she doesn't see the others joining them. Saeed returns from his mission. Sawyer approaches Saeed, but Saeed simply asks to speak with the man in black in private. Saeed tells the man in black that Charles Whitmore didn't see him, but that his people did, and that he didn't see the point of killing them when he had what he came for. He then reveals Desmond tied to a tree. Hurley goes through Alana's tent stash. Among the possessions is a copy of a book called Notes from Underground in Russian and a pouch with Jacob's ashes. He looks inside the pouch and keeps it. Richard tells Hurley that now they must get more dynamite or Alana's death will have been in vain. Jack says the message may be that the dynamite is too dangerous to handle. He adds that he has promised Sun to get her off the island, to which Richard replies that he wishes that Jack hadn't made that promise, adding that Jack should put the blame on him for breaking it. Hurley speaks up authoritatively, saying Richard is right and that the only choice they have, or that is the only choice they have. He looks at Jack in the eye and then asks him to trust him, after a long pause, and Jack agrees. Back to our flash sideways, Hugo orders a family-sized bucket of chicken at Mr. Cluck's restaurant, where he is recognized by the clerk. As he eats the chicken, he sees Desmond looking at him, and Desmond comes over to him and asks if he knows him, then whether he was on Oceanic Flight 815. Desmond points out that Hurley is eating a lot of chicken, and that Hurley explains that he eats when he is depressed. Hurley tells Desmond that he met an awesome woman at the restaurant, but that there's one problem. She is crazy. She said she already knew each other and that Hurley would remember. Desmond tells him he should follow his gut and try to find out how she thinks they knew each other before he gives up on her. Desmond leaves when his order number 42, one of Hurley's favorite numbers, comes up. Back to the island, the man in black apologizes to Desmond for Saeed tying him up. Desmond says he doesn't blame him, but as he has nowhere to run to, there is no need. The man in black accepts it as a good reason against captivity and cuts his bonds. The man in black asks Desmond why Charles Whitmore brought him to the island, and Desmond says that he was kidnapped, so that question will have to be directed at Charles Whitmore. He adds that he was thrown into a wood shack and blasted with a huge amount of electromagnetism. The man in black asks how he would know what he was blasted with, and Desmond replies that he knows from experience. The man in black says, "Do you know who I am?" And Desmond says that he, the man in black, is John Locke. And the man in black sends Saeed away, saying that he is going to take a walk with Desmond. He offers his hand to Desmond and pulls him up, saying that there is something he would like to show him. Ben says that Ilana, handpicked by Jacob to protect the candidates, tells them who they are, and that then was blown up. He adds that the island was done with her and the wonders what will happen when it is done with them. They arrive at the Black Rock and realize that Hurley is not with them. Just then, Hurley comes running out of the ship, shouting at them to all run. The Black Rock explodes, and it is destroyed. Richard demands to know why Hurley did it. Hurley replies that he is protecting them. Richard storms off, saying that they are now doomed. Miles asks Hurley why he did it. Hurley says that Michael told him to, that Michael is one of the dead people who come and yell at him. Miles asks whether Hurley just does whatever the dead people say. Hurley responds with the dead people are more reliable than the living. Back to our flash sideways, Hugo, whatever you want to call him, goes to the Santa Rosa Institute to see Libby. Her doctor, Dr. Brooks, played by Bruce Davidson, is reluctant to let Hugo Hurley see her because he says that she has issues with reality. To persuade Dr. Brooks, Hurley says that the recreation room could look sick and asks what $100,000 could do for the place. And then we see Hurley meeting Libby. So obviously he went with the deal in the recreation room, and we can assume that Hurley had written him a check for $100K or maybe more as a donation for the hospital. She wonders, Libby, why he has come to see her if he doesn't remember her. And when he asks where she thinks she knows him from, she says the explanation will not make sense. She explains that when she saw Hurley on television, a lot of memories came rushing back from her life, except that it was like another life. She says that there was a plane crash, that there was on an island, and that they were both there and liked each other. She also believes he was at the clinic. He still doesn't remember, but asks if she's allowed to leave the hospital. When Libby says that she's in the hospital voluntarily, Hugo asks if she wants to go on a date. She agrees. Go Hurley. Back on the island, the man in black asks Desmond to remind him on how long he was in the hatch pushing the button for. Desmond said he did it for 3 years, reflecting that here is Desmond. Back again, the man in black says that if he didn't know better, he would say that the island has it in for Desmond. Desmond says that there is nothing special about him and that the island has it in for all of them. The man in black agrees. They both notice a mysterious boy standing nearby. Desmond asks who it is, but the man in black says twice to ignore him. As Desmond looks at the boy catches his glaze, smiles, and runs off. Jack suggests that they should talk about it, but Hurley says that he knows what they need to do, and that he is going to go talk to Locke. That is go to talk to Locke, as my nose starts to itch all of a sudden. Ben asks whether he is trying to get them killed, and Hurley points out to the place in front of them, saying Jacob has told him that they have to talk to Locke. Richard is disbelieving and tells Hurley to ask Jacob what the island is. Hurley walks toward the spot to which he had pointed at, and stands alone. And he stands alongside Richard and says he doesn't have to prove anything to him, that he can either come with him or keep trying to blow stuff up. Richard calls him out as a liar, saying Jacob never tells people what to do. Richard adds that if that thing leaves the island, it's over. Everything. He asks for help to destroy the plane. Only Ben and Miles join him. Jack says that if Jacob says to talk to Locke, then they go talk to Locke. Son writes a note to Frank Lapidus asking whether they have made a mistake, and Frank says probably. Hurley asks what they should say to Locke, and Jack says not to worry because Locke will do most of the talking. Hurley looks troubled and admits to Jack that he didn't see Jacob back there. Jack says he knows and explains that ever since he got Juliet killed, all he wanted to do was to fix it, but he knows he can't ever fix it, and as hard as it is to let other people lead, he thinks that maybe the point is to let go. Hurley reiterates that going to see Locke is his idea, but Jack makes it clear that he is going to trust Hurley, just as Hurley asks. Hurley adds that he has no idea where they are going. Just when the whispers sound, Hurley says he thinks he knows what they are, what they are, and asks the group to wait. I'm not sure what I meant to say there, but I messed that up. Hurley finds Michael and asks if there are others like him. Michael says that there are the ones who can't move on, and reveals they are the source of the whispers. Michael shows Hurley where Locke's camp is. Hurley asks if there's anything he can do. Michael tells him not to get himself killed, and that if he ever does see Libby again, to tell her that he is very sorry. Back to our flash sideways. Hurley and Libby set up a picnic at the beach. They finally went on their picnic. She says that being at the beach with Hurley is familiar, like a date they never had. She asks why he asks why she would want to be with him. She tells him because she likes him. They kiss tenderly, and then Hurley has vivid visions of the time they had on the island. He hesitantly says to Libby that he thinks he remembers stuff. He says he doesn't think that she is crazy after all. Desmond watches from a car nearby and then drives off. My work is done here. Back to the island, the man in black leads Desmond to a well, pointing out that it's just one of the several on the island. The man in black drops a torch down well and shows him that it's very deep. He then explains that the well is very old, that it was built by hand by people who were looking for answers. They had noticed that the compass needle spun at points like this location. He says that digging the well did not give them answers. He says that he has shown Desmond the well because Charles Whitmore is not interested in answers, that he is only interested in power, and that Charles Whitmore has brought Desmond back so he could help Charles Whitmore find what he has been looking for. Desmond expresses his doubt that this is the only reason that the Man in Black has brought him to the well. The Man in Black asks Desmond why he isn't afraid. Desmond responds by asking what the point of being afraid, or what's the point of being afraid. The Man in Black pushes Desmond into the well. Desmond screams as he plummets to the bottom. The Man in Black returns to the camp and tells Saeed they won't have to worry about Desmond anymore. Hurley walks into the camp. Hesitantly, he approaches the Man in Black and asks for a truce so no one is killed. The Man in Black gives Hurley his knife and his word. Frank Lapidus, Son, and Jack come into the campsite. Son scans the area for Jin. The Man in Black focuses on Jack and greets them alone, and Jack stares at him with extreme concern. The Man in Black gives a look of smug satisfaction. And then Desmond sits in his car. This is back to our flash sideways. In his car outside the school where Benjamin Linus and John Locke work, watching Locke cross the parking lot in his wheelchair. Ben appears and then knocks on the car window, suspicious, asking Desmond what he is doing. Desmond spins a story about moving to the neighborhood and looking for a school for his son. Desmond keeps an eye on Locke and dismisses Ben politely. Desmond starts his car, races across the parking lot, and runs John Locke down. Ben rushes to Locke's aid. Locke appears to be seriously injured but still alive, and that's what ends this episode of Lost. So pretty good episode. I like how Ben is like this good person in the Flash Flash Sideways, and on the island he's mostly bad, but he does do good things. So I'm gonna give it an 8.4 out of 10. And my characters of the episode, I'm gonna give it to obviously Hugo Hurley Reyes. Libby, I have to give it to. Jack was good, and of course it was good to see Michael. I'm surprised we didn't hear "Where's my son?" And then of course rest in peace to Ilana, who is a character that didn't get developed enough on this show. So you've heard me ramble long enough. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are regarding this episode of Lost. What would you rate it? Who would be your character of the episode? Remember, you'll be interacting with me and the legendary Crazy Coffee Man. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100K subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goal high. Join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.